These are 7 of the best walking shoes. I'm going to break them down for you in terms of comfort, stability, cushioning and fit, so that at the end of this video you'll know which walking shoe is best for you. Hi, I'm James. I'm a foot and ankle specialist and I've been providing advice on footwear for over 10 years. So we're going to break down the shoes in terms of shoes that are wide fit but neutral shoes, max cushion, and then a range of stability shoes. So the first 3 shoes that we're going to talk about are the 3 stability shoes. So we've got the Hoka Arahi 7, the New Balance 860 V14, and the Asics Gel-Kayano 31. Now they provide stability in multiple ways and they're completely different to each other, so let's get into how they break down. So the Arahi 7 has a J frame built into it, so it's a frame that runs from the underside of the shoe all the way onto the inside of the shoe. The J frame is a denser cushioning, so it doesn't compress as easily. So as your foot moves inward, if you struggle to control pronation forces, it provides resistance to it without pushing up into your foot. So it subtly provides resistance, so we consider it a mild stability shoe. In contrast to that, in the New Balance 860 V14, the greener cushioning is denser and then it's softer with the wider cushioning on top. It's got more of the firmer, denser cushion on the inside of the shoe than it does on the outside of the shoe. Therefore, it creates a slight tilt on your ankle alongside providing some support directly under the medial arch of your foot. So it's one of the only shoes in the market that provides a medial wedge. So that's really good for helping conditions that affect the medial arch of the foot or the posterior tibial tendon. Then we have the Asics Gel-Cayano 31. So it provides support by having a wide base of support, having a little tab that's underneath the medial arch of your foot that provides resistance to pronation moments, and you feel that pressure under the arch of your foot. So if you like a stability shoe that has support directly underneath it, then you might enjoy the Asics Gel-Cayano 31. The type of cushioning in each, it's super soft, super plush in the Gel-Cayano 31. So when you apply weight to it, you sink into it. It really feels like you're walking on a cloud. In contrast to that, the Arahi 7 has a more responsive cushioning. So if you're looking for mild stability and a faster shoe that you can walk quicker in, it has a firmer feel to it, a bit of a spring to it, then the Arahi 7 is an excellent option. Whereas if you're looking for a shoe that sits somewhere in between, so it's got more balanced cushioning, so you sink into it a little bit, but it has some energy return, but maximum stability, then the 860 V14 can be a good option for you. They fit completely differently, and we'll come back to the fit towards the end of the video. But then we move on to a max cushion shoe. So we've got a neutral shoe in the Cloudmonster 2. So it's got a TPU plate that runs through the whole shoe, which is like a carbon fiber plate, but unique to OnCloud brand, and it just makes the shoe a little bit stiff. So although it has a huge amount of cushioning underneath, it feels nice and soft. There's an element of rigidity to it as well. So it's not as soft as the New Balance 1080 or as the Brooks Glycerin Max. It has a little bit of firmness to it, a little bit of stability to it, even though it's a classic neutral shoe. So an excellent max cushion neutral shoe that has elements of stability to it. Then we have 2 classic neutral shoes, and when we talk about a neutral shoe, we mean that the undersole of the shoe is completely flat, it's not tilted one way or the other. They may have elements of stability to them to account for the amount of cushioning on them, but ultimately the bed is flat, unlike the tilt that we get in the New Balance. So we've got the Asics Gel-Cumulus 26. It's got a really plush cushioning, so similar to what you got in the Gel-Cayano. If you're looking for in a neutral shoe, you sink into it, really comfortable, really cushion, a really nice shoe to walk in, and it's got a really nice fit on top, which we'll talk about. But before that, we've got the Brooks Go 16. So it's one of the most popular shoes in the Brooks range. It has a more firm cushioning, so it's updated its cushioning to the DNA Loft V3 nitrogen infused compared to the Go 15. So that means that it's a little bit softer than what you got in the 15, which was quite a firm shoe underfoot, whereas this has a little bit of give to it. It's a bit more balanced than the Cumulus, so the Cumulus you tend to sink into it a little bit more, you get a bit more energy return, a bit more responsiveness from the Go 16. So if you're looking for a neutral shoe that you can walk in, that gives you a little bit of a spring, then the 16 is an excellent option. It does have a really high drop on it, and we'll talk about the influence of drops after this. But before that, I just want to touch on a shoe called the Topo Phantom 3, which is one of the lesser known shoes. It's a neutral shoe, but they focus on having a really wide toe box, and that's really important to allow your toes to splay. It's got zip foam cushion in it, and it's only got a 5mm drop. So when we think about drop, that's where The difference is between the back and the front of the shoe in terms of height. So a high drop shoe is typically regarded as 8 mils or above, and that can place extra pressure on the forefoot when you're standing, whereas a lower drop shoe, like a 0 drop shoe or anything below 6 mils, can place extra stress on the Achilles tendon as it lengthens it, but it gives it more even distribution of pressure across the foot. So typically when we talk about conditions like Morton's neuroma, bunions, or metatarsalgia, we prefer a low drop shoe with a rocker on it. Regardless, it's 5 mils of drop in the Phantom 3. It's got nice plush cushioning that's a little bit responsive, so it sits in between the Ghost and the Cumulus, and a really excellent option and a good brand to explore if you haven't heard of them before. Then as we move further into the drops of the shoes, we got 12 mil drop in the Ghost 16, so that's the highest drop of all 7 shoes that we have. So that means that it helps to offload your Achilles tendon, but it's important to be aware if you have any sensitivity on the ball of your foot, you may not enjoy it. Then with the Cumulus, we've got an 8 mil drop, so it sits somewhere in that grey area. The Cloudmonster 2 is a little bit low at 6 mils. We've got 5 mils in the Arahi, 8 mils in the New Balance, and 10 mils in the Gel-Kayano. So some other features that I wanted to talk about is the toe boxes. Having room to splay your toes is really important. We've got the best fit in general in the Phantom 3, and to give you a comparison, if we look at the Arahi, which is renowned for having a narrower fit, it's a big difference, and you can see that it just widens out in the forefoot, and the Topo gives you loads of room for your toes to splay. Then in the Go 16, it's a true to size fit, no issues with that. It's got relatively good room in the toe box, but it does come in a wider version. The Cumulus tends to be a little bit shorter, so often people need to get a half size up. It's got normal amount of space in the toe box, but it does come in a wide version. The Cloudmonster 2 is a true to size fit, loads of space in the toe box. There is a wider option available if you need it. Hoka are renowned for having really narrow toe boxes, so they taper really early and they can put extra pressure on the side of your big toe or your little toe. And if you got any sensitivity there, that's something to be aware of, especially in the Arahi 7. It does come in a wider version, but if you're looking for a stability shoe in the Hoka range, the Hoka Gaviota 5 is one of the widest shoes and a really excellent option for a stability shoe. We've got a review of both of these in our catalogue. The New Balance is renowned for having plenty of space in the toe box. It comes in a wider version as well and an extra wide. And the Gel-Kayano, the normal fit, has plenty of space in it, but it does come in a wide version as well. Then when we think about weight, despite the amount of cushioning in each shoe, they vary in weight hugely. This can be influential as it can make a shoe a little bit clunkier or can make your foot fatigue from carrying a heavier shoe. So of the stability shoes, the Gel-Kayano comes in at the heaviest, and that's because they prioritize comfort. So they do that in a couple of different ways. One is they've got a sock-like fit on top, so it's nice and plush, comfortable, nice and warm in the winter. They've got loads of cushioning underneath the sole of the shoe, so they've got 40 mils of cushioning at the rear foot, so that adds on some extra weight. And they've got this nice plush heel counter where you got lots of support, lots of padding around it, so that comes in over 300 grams. A little bit lighter in the New Balance 860. It's again got a similar plush like fit on top. It doesn't have as much padding around the heel counter, but it's got a substantial amount. It's a nice padded tongue on top as well. And then the lightest of all the stability shoes is the Hoka Arahi 7. Its CMEVA cushioning is renowned for being super light, super airy, and that's what helps give it a nice spring to it. It's got an engineered mesh on top, so it kind of wraps around your foot, and it's got a padded tongue and not as much padding as the other two shoes around the heel counter, and that's what helps it lose a little bit of weight as well. Then interestingly, with the on Cloudmonster 2, despite having lots of cushioning in it, it comes in around 295 grams for a size 9 men US. So it's one of the lighter shoes in the max stability market. Other comparison shoes are the Brooks Glycerin Max, the Brooks Ghost Max, which come in a little bit heavier than this. So it feels super light. It's got a very thin layered engineered mesh on top, a very thin tongue, and mild padding around the heel counter. So a very light shoe overall if you're looking for a max cushion shoe. The Cumulus is the lightest of the three neutral shoes. Then the Topo and then the Brooks is a little bit heavier than the other two. The Cumulus has a nice sock-like fit on top, similar to the Kayano, but probably not as thick as that. It's got a thinner tongue and it doesn't have as much padding around the heel counter, but it's really, really comfortable overall. You've got more of a soft-like fit on the Ghost 16, so it wraps around your foot, really padded around the heel counter and really padded tongue, so it's a big focus on comfort in the Ghost 16. And then you've got more of an engineered mesh on top of the Phantom 3, a thinner tongue and less padding around the heel counter. It's also got a nice flexible heel counter, so those of you that have any sensitivity on the back of your heel from conditions like insertional Achilles tendonitis or Haglund's deformity, you might enjoy not having such a stiff heel counter on the back. So you've got 7 contrasting shoes. You've got 3 that focus on stability, mild stability, stability with a wedge, and stability with support on the arch of your foot. You've got a very light max cushion neutral shoe. You've got 3 neutral shoes, one with a low drop and a very wide toe box in the Phantom 3, one with a high drop, a nice responsive cushioning in the Ghost 16, and then a bit of an all-rounder with plush cushioning in the Cumulus, really soft-like fit, but you need to keep in mind that it comes in a half size down. Overall, we've got links to all these shoes in the description below. If you buy through the links, it helps fund the channel without affecting the price that you pay. If you found the video just useful, like and subscribing or sharing the video just makes a huge difference to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you come back to watch some more of our videos.